Hi, BookTube. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. And I haven't filmed in a while, so I thought I would film a few videos today. So first, I'm gonna do for this particular video. I'm actually gonna do a tag video. This was a tag created for since it's officially May, my birthday month actually. This would be a tag that applied for last week. Since with what's going on in the world right now, the host of the Reading Rush, one of them being Ariel Bissett, I don't remember who the other host is. That's a read in case you guys don't know, which you probably do, but in case you don't, it is a readathon that takes place every summer for a week, like a lot of readathons. And I don't like participating in it because I don't like the whole idea of only having a week to read. Not that, it's not like they expect you to finish all the books you choose for the readathon. It's just about having fun, but I still don't like that. I will still feel the pressure, and I don't like that feeling. But Ariel had decided with what's going on in the world to create, to have a reading rush readathon for a 4-day one last month. And since they weren't going to do anything like Twitter sprints or Instagram challenges, they decided to create a tag. And you don't have to participate in the Reading Rush to do the tag, because none of the questions really are specific to the Reading Rush. So I thought I would do it, even though I didn't do the Reading Rush, because like I said, I don't like doing those. I don't like the pressure. Although that one was kind of low key anyway. But I still don't like it, and I can't. But it's cool. Although it is cool that they do that, and I think that's pretty cool. And it's just like I said, I don't like the whole week or only 4-day readathons. Right, so here is the questions. And it's more to do kind of like with what's going on and how your reading is going during this crisis in the world. And that's actually technically what the first question is. Which is, how's your reading going while staying at home? And my reading is going great, actually. I was surprised at first when I found out there were people struggling with their reading. But thinking about it, I kind of understand because, all these horrible things are going on, and you feel a little guilty if you're not paying attention to the news. Although I don't think you personally have to watch the news 24/7 like my grandma seems to do. Because, it's not going to instantly change within, like, every 5 minutes. So, I understand people feel guilty. I understand that people probably feel guilty and feel the need that they need to pay attention and know exactly what is going on all the time with this whole virus. But I'm someone who I don't want to think about the virus all the time. I want to read to escape. I don't want to deal with it. So that, so I'm someone who is still, reading a lot. And maybe it's partly due to the fact that North Carolina isn't as affected as other states. And I'm also an introvert anyway. I'm perfectly comfortable staying home. The only thing I miss is, going to the bookstore to buy more books or going to the library to borrow books. But at the same time, though, I think in the long run it's probably better, because then I will get to all these books I have on my shelf. Although since it's my birthday month, I might be getting books for my birthday. But, because when I buy more, if I buy another book, I get all excited. Although I usually hold off because I would like to savor that I have the book on my shelf now when I buy a book. But while with the library, I feel like, as I've said before, I don't like the pressure of knowing that I have 2 weeks to get this book read. And I know I can recheck it out, borrow it. But I still feel obligated that, okay, I gotta try and finish this book, because I don't want to keep borrowing the book. I want to eventually finish it. And for some people now, ironically, it's not the case for me, but for some people, they also have, there's a wait list for the book. People want to read the book too, so they, you need to return so they get a chance to read. Now, like I said, the funny thing is, I don't think I would have that problem as much, unless it's like a new book. And even then, it kind of depends, I think, on the genre that the book is. Like, The Silent Patient had a waiting list. The Dutch House had a waiting list. Which but some of the other books I read wouldn't necessarily have a waiting list. Although the Keeper of the Lost Cities, the two books, book 7 did have, book 7 and 8 actually had a waiting list, I believe, which surprised me. But I mean, although this is a community with not just older people, retired people, but also up and coming families, so there might have been some kids who wanted to read the book. And funnily enough, you guys know that I did decide to DNF that series because I just, dang, I keep, sorry, I feel like spit is coming out of my mouth as I'm talking. But funnily enough, I had had enough after book 7. You know, it's just like I couldn't do it anymore because there's so many things about that series that bother me and annoy me. You know, it's not a bad series, and I don't want people to not give that series a shot. Because it's fun. It's actually really fun. It's a fun series. And it's a little bit of a different way to look at elves, which I really appreciate. Because I was kind of tired of, like, the whole idea of either the elves are, like, little people with beards, or they can make cookies and they live in trees and stuff. Or you have the beautiful, elegant, superior elves of the Tolkien universe. Like, I felt like that's the only elves you ever heard about. Like, a lot of people were inspired by Tolkien for their elf creation. So I like how there are more stories about elves where the elves are a little different. And it's kind of, and ElfQuest is another graphic novel series that also makes their elves different. Which I still gotta read that first volume. And when I say read, I mean, like, I gotta keep going with it and finish it, or read at least a little bit more of it. But, so, yeah, but basically, my reading is really doing really well. I read a lot, like, I think I read 11 books in March, and then in this month, I was able to squeeze in, like, 3 more books towards the end the last week. I was surprised. I didn't think I would finish, Something Wonderful or The Shadow of the Wind by the end of last month, but I did. I was able to squeeze them in. And so that was really awesome. So I don't have to worry about those. Because actually this month, which I'm going to talk about in the next video, in a video I film later, there are actually 2 readathons this month. One of them is in the middle of the month, and then one of them is the whole month. So at least now I don't have to worry about those books. But I don't have to worry about which books I'm going to read for the 2 readathons. It's a bit... and there's another book I meant to take off my shelf, because, I take the books off my shelf that I might read for that I'm thinking about reading, and I just remembered there's another one I want to take off the shelf that I'm thinking about reading. But I'm trying not to do too many, because it's just, that's the problem. If I think too much about it, then I'm like, oh, I want to read this one. I need to read this one. But there's just, like, so many choices for me. But yeah, I'm feeling, like I said, I was surprised, but I understand, thinking about it now, why people are struggling with the reading. I hope their struggle doesn't last, because, but if it does, that's okay. For me personally, I'm not having that problem. I've been lucky in that way, and I'm grateful for it. Okay, so next question is, where have you been reading while at home? Well, I still read in my room, like on this chair, or I have a chair over there, a Papasan chair, those round ones. I think you've seen them in my early videos. We had moved my furniture, so we had switched the chairs. So now, that's why at some point in my videos, you stopped seeing me sitting in that chair. And that chair wasn't comfortable anyway for just sitting up and filming a video. Because it's round and deep. So it's not the most comfortable chair to sit up in. When you're trying, it's more of one that you lounge in and stuff like that. And then I'm still continuing using my love seat, because if I don't use the love seat for reading, then it's not used that often. And I was feeling like, okay, but I need to start using this. Because I remember one time my mom had asked me, are you even using your couch that we got you? And I was feeling like, I spent the money, actually no, I think I spent the money, I paid for it. I think. I don't remember, actually. I don't remember if they paid for it and I paid for it. But anyway, one of us paid for it. And so I was feeling guilty. So I started using the couch as a reading area, as somewhere to read. But now that the weather is nice, and because the only time I get out of the house is to either go to work, I have been sitting on the back porch or the front porch, which I have done that before. It made it more tempting to do that. And you guys know I filmed a video on the front porch the other day, I think it was last week. And it's also nice because in our old house, there was a little bit of a porch, but we didn't have the same, we didn't have the space, and there were no chairs there. It's just a stoop. So, a little bit wider than a traditional. It wasn't like on the city where you have those stoops in, apartments or, houses in the city. It wasn't like that, It wasn't as small as those. But it was not that big. You couldn't have a chair there. But now we have a much, a longer, a horizontal porch, a more horizontal porch. So we have 2 chairs sitting there, so I can sit on the front porch. And it's kind of nice. It's very relaxing, and I think you get more. Well, actually, no. I guess you would get more sun on the back porch because it's a bigger and wider. Oh, I have string. I'll have to cut that. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of that, towards. Yesterday when I was finishing up Shadow of the Wind and started reading Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton, I was sitting on the back porch, and then, although it got a little chilly, because it got a little chilly yesterday. It was raining in the morning, then the sun came out by the afternoon, but, it was still, the rain kind of made it colder. So I had to, I was kind of shivering while I was reading. Eventually, I did go back inside, but not permanently. I just grabbed something to wear over, a hoodie or something. So yeah, a lot of sitting on the back and front porch reading. Okay, so next is question number 3. Best book you read while during isolation. And I read a lot of fantasy so far. Especially last month for the Owls the Owls readathon. I read a lot of fantasy. So as of towards the end of last month and in the beginning of this month, I'm making sure that I'm reading I'm reading some of my other favorite genres. So, but I want to pick a book. Well, considering what I read towards the end of the last 2 books I read, it might be debatable now. But I decided to pick a book that I really loved that was not a fantasy, because fantasy is my go-to genre anyway. Although I loved all the fantasy books. Granted, not all of them were something super special. I don't mean as in I didn't love them, but they weren't standouts, but they were enough that I want to keep going. I want to finish them. I want to read the next book because a lot of them are books in series. One of them I think is a duology. And I still love them. I just want to mix it up and pick another book that I really enjoyed that is not in that genre, and that is so the one is a nonfiction on writing a memoir of the craft by Stephen King. I listened to that one on audiobook, so I don't have it in my possession. But that was a great book. It's even if you're not a Stephen King fan, it might be very helpful to read it because it's very informative. But it's not boring. It still goes into the technical stuff of becoming a writer, becoming an author to be more specific. But it's not done in a boring way. Stephen King has a very unique voice. He's very blunt and very honest and just straightforward, but he wasn't I didn't get condescending vibes from when I was reading or listening to the book. It was more like he was giving you this advice and suggestions, but he said, you don't have to take it, but I would definitely recommend you considering my advice. And he had a lot of hilarious stories. My favorite one was how he got poison ivy on his butt. I thought that was really funny. It kind of made me think of something like my dad and my Uncle Roland a little bit, like their relationship. And he's also Stephen King is one of those authors that just doesn't care. Like, people criticize him and say his endings are all bad and stuff, or they don't like how crass he is and how he includes every detail. Like, he will talk about someone's bathroom routine or their every dirty thought they have. But that's because he doesn't want to just focus on the characters, like, their likes and dislikes, or their, how they are emotionally when it comes to, like, saving the world or who to date. He also, like, he wants to get deeper, really, for you to get to know them, even their most mundane or most ugly thoughts. That's what he does. He wants you to really get to know the characters inside and out, even the boring stuff. Even the stuff that makes you, like, cringe, or, like, not cringe and, oh, that's bad. Or, well, I guess, in a way, it is. And it was like, it made me think of the novels I've read of him so far. And also, on the audiobook, it's narrated by him. Which makes sense, because it's a memoir. I feel like with memoirs, especially if it's about a particular person in their life, then I feel like they should be the one to narrate the audiobook if it becomes an audiobook. Like, I imagine, like, Julie Andrews narrates her memoir, Home, a memoir of my early years, and then probably, if there's an audiobook for Homework, her sequel to that memoir, then I imagine she would also narrate it. I think it makes sense. It only makes sense. But yeah, I like that one. But I also really enjoyed Something Wonderful and In the Shadow of the Wind as well. Something Wonderful was another, it wasn't a memoir, but it was, I don't know, I guess it was a history book? It is essentially about the partnership between Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein. And I really like that. As a theater geek, I really enjoyed seeing that process and learning about their partnership. Although, like another reviewer pointed out, we mostly got to know Oscar Hammerstein, and we didn't really get to know Richard Rodgers. I mean, he definitely is that cliche of the artistic, artist who you barely know, but you're so fascinated by and so intrigued by, and you want to know more, but they keep you at a distance. That's what it felt like. But just to see that dynamic and how they work and learn about their successes and their flops and how it all came together. And some of their flops I didn't know about, and which makes sense because sadly they were flops. They weren't as successful and they weren't as popular. Like, there's like, the only reason I know about Pipe Dream is that Julie Andrews auditioned for Pipe Dream, and she mentions auditioning for Pipe Dream. I don't remember if she mentions it in the memoir, but on one of those behind the scenes of one of her movies that I watched, she talks about that. I want to say, like, Sound of Music or something, or like an interview. I don't remember. It might be an interview. But anyway, and then I didn't even know anything about Allegro, which I think that's the one about the doctor who marries a woman who, like, forces him to go to the big city because she wants him to be a successful doctor and have, become well-renowned and all that, and he doesn't want that. He prefers the small town, he just cares about practicing medicine and being a good doctor. And it's kind of about that relationship. I think it's that one. And then I'm trying to think, what was the last one? There was one more. There was one that, I can't remember, which was the one that Richard Rodgers wanted to do. Like, the Allegro, I think, was the one that Oscar wanted to do. And then Richard Rodgers, years later, mentions one that is important to him that he wants to do. And Oscar, was quoted as saying that, well, you did the Allegro for me, so I'm going to do this one for you. I don't remember what that one was. But they're the guys who did Oklahoma, Cinderella, The King and I, Sound of Music. Like I said, Pipe Dream was one of theirs. Allegro. South Pacific. Their most famous ones being The King and I, South Pacific, Sound of Music, and Cinderella. which I think that The King and I and although maybe that's just because I don't love them as much, but I think King and I is one of the one that was not as was successful, but not as successful as like Sound of Music or Cinderella. Like I feel like there is a level of success, but that could just be I'm thinking that because of how much I feel about them. But if you're a theater geek, I would definitely recommend checking that out. Todd S. Purdom is the author. It's a great, it's a great history, but whatever type nonfiction it would be. Okay, and then I really like Name of the Wind too. That was a really great book and a very sweet, heartwarming, but also kind of tragic too. It was one of those books that it's beautiful, but it's also very tragic. Okay, what's your favorite feel-good book? And I could not think of an answer for this one. Like, I guess children's classics like Wizard of Oz, I think is really a feel-good. Of course, Harry Potter, but I didn't want to say Harry Potter because I feel like that's a predictable answer. And Dickens, I think, is a feel-good author. Even though some of his books aren't always happy-go-lucky all the time, I feel like at least I get warm and fuzzy feelings when I do get into it, when I do, whether it's a movie version or when I read a book. It's like always, because he's such a classic, and there's a certain feeling I get when I read those books of that time period, that classic, like a warm and fuzzy feelings kind of thing. So I kind of have an answer and kind of don't for that one. Okay, so that was question number 4. Question number 5. Book you wish you could buy or borrow right from the library right now. There are a lot of them. I'm mostly thinking about the books on my Amazon wish list that I'm hoping I would get for my birthday. Like The Ninth House. And I keep going back and forth with Ninth House. Because some reviews and people criticize the book, were disappointed by the book. And some people you have where Daniel Green really loved the book. In fact, he did a review on Six of Crows and he was disappointed by Six of Crows because he was like, this is the same author who wrote Ninth House. So that's when I decided to put it back on my radar. The 4th book in the Temeraire series, which I can't remember what that's called. I just want to continue. There's a lot of Dickens books that I want to get. And there's some Anthony Trollope that I want to buy. I mean, I would love to have. I wish my mom would buy me another shelf. I wish I could get it, or I would like to buy it because I would like another, more shelf space because there are so many different. Oh, that's gross. I just spit. Because I would love more shelf space so I could have. It's just so hard to get rid of books, especially because it takes, I haven't read all these books. I mean, I have more books that are turned out where you see the pages, meaning I have not, that's how many books I haven't read yet on my shelf. And there's all these books I've had for a long time that I need to read, but then there's books that, I want to do some rereads. But there's some types of books that I would love to put on a separate shelf, like classics, a separate shelf space for classics, which I kind of do have, but there's so many more classics than I want to get. What's the question? Book you wish you could buy. Okay, back to the question. So, like I said, there's a lot of Dickens I want to buy. So I want to get the sequel to Curses So Dark and Lonely, which I have not read. But I do want to. I think I might read it this month. Actually, for one of the readathons, I might read it. There's the next let me see where it is. Let me see if I can. Where is it? Let me see, where did I put it? I don't know, but the the second book in the Life Ship Trader series I would like to get as well, because that's one, because they have the first one in the Life Ship Traders trilogy, and I still have to read Assassin's Quest, of course, but I like getting books in a series so I don't have to wait too long to get to the next book. Although I still, out of habit, I still will not read. It will take me forever to get to the next book in a series. I think I built that habit because before I couldn't buy as many. There was a time when I couldn't buy as many books, especially since I didn't have a job for the longest time. So I couldn't buy as many books as I would have liked. And it would take me a while to build up the series. So I think I established a habit of not getting to the next book in the series. Even if I have all the books in the series, not getting to, because there was a time when I wouldn't always have the next book. I wouldn't get to it. Even if I have it now, I wouldn't get to it because I was used to not having it until like a year or two later. Which reminds me, another book is the next book in the Witcher series. I want to read by Uprooted. Like I said, this is mostly books I want to buy, because I don't know what I want to borrow from the library. Because until I'm physically there to look at it, I don't know what's there, what I'm in the mood for. And my library doesn't always have the biggest selection, I mean, it doesn't, because, again, I think it's like a community thing. They only have what the community would be interested in. So they don't necessarily have all the most popular, like, fantasy books. Or, And then, let's see. There's one more. I was just thinking about it. I said Uprooted is another one I want to get. Like to actually have a copy of it. And I really, I don't know what else. There's just a lot of books. But anyway, so that was question number 5. So the last question, an author you want to give a shout out to. And I'm going to say Kate Morton. She is historical fiction, although she also writes, her books also take place in a contemporary timeline, but she does dual timelines, and there usually is a mystery involved. Like our present day character somehow finds out about a hint of something that happened a long time ago, and somehow, and usually the main character is somehow connected to it, or she meets someone that's connected to it, and she has to piece it together. So it's not a police procedural or detective story, usually. I mean, I don't know. Some of them I can't remember, but, I don't remember. Some of them might actually have police a tiny bit involved, but it's not police procedural or detective story, which I think is why I love it so much. It's, actually, in fact, an author who's closest to is Ruth Ware, I think. So far, what I've read from her, her books kind of give me Kate Morton vibes. Not the writing style per se, but the story. Like The Death of Miss Westaway. I could see Kate Morton writing something like that. But I think she would write more and expand it more and make it more literary. But she has... let's see, The Forgotten Garden is one of her books. The Distant Hours, The Lake House, let's see, The Clockmaker's Daughter, which that's her newest. I'm saying she has 6 books. So I think there are 2. I want to say there are 2 more. I can't tell, because with the way my books are, the spines are out, but, yeah, I want to say she is, stupid, I don't know if you guys could tell, but the stupid screen disappeared, because I wasn't moving the mouse or doing anything on the screen, so it just faded out. So you want to say 5 or 6 books, she's like 5 or 6, they're all standalones, it's not a series, they're not series. Like I said, it's usually a mystery. Well, it always is a mystery. I don't know if she's ever going to write anything beyond, like, although I haven't read Clockmaker's Daughter, so maybe not. Maybe that won't be a mystery. Although, actually, no, I think it is, because it's out, I think it is, going by the description, if I'm recalling the description of what that book is about. And it's just, like, it's always so, her writing is beautiful, and it's always just so engaging and interesting, and it's a good book to read during the springtime. Which April from Getting Hygge With It will confirm that, because she reads Kate Morton during the springtime. And a lot of her books kind of have to do with nature. Sometimes there's a nature theme to a lot of her books as well. They're just such beautiful books and stories, and I love her writing. I think she deserves more credit than she gets on BookTube. But maybe I'm just not watching the channels that talk about her. I know that, like I said, I know that April likes her Science Mama, whose real name I don't remember. She's a new booktuber watching. She's really great. She's really good. Very sweet. She sounds like a very sweet person. She's a mom. She homeschools her kids. So she not only talks about books, she also talks about her experience with homeschooling her kids and the way she's teaching them and all the different types of lessons and stuff. And so if you are a mom or you have kids in your life, you might want to check out her channel. But anyway, she's also, I think, getting into Kate Morton as well. But, so I definitely want to hear more people talk about Kate Morton. I would really love that. But like I said, maybe I just don't follow the channels of people that talk about her. So that's it. That is the stay-at-home reading book tag. I just realized I didn't really tell you what the tag was called. So it's called the stay-at-home reading tag. And like I said, yes, it was created for the reading rush. But as you got the questions, I'm sure you realize that you don't have to do it. I mean, you don't have to worry about feeling bad that you didn't do it during the reading rush, if you didn't participate in the reading rush, or if you did. I think you can do the tag anyway. So if you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want to, you can click the bell notification below so you can be notified when I post new videos. I hope you are enjoying your reading, and I hope that you are not one of those people that's struggling, but if you are, like I said, it's okay. And hopefully you'll get back to reading, get back into reading, but if not, that's okay too. So, but if you aren't having the struggle, we'd love to hear about what you're reading, and like I said, I hope you are enjoying it, and I will talk to you all later. Alright, bye!